Don't make the mistake of bringing an architect in too soon. We mistakenly spent a lot of money in architect fees. You're undoubtedly about to take on one of the most transformational projects in your lifetime. Renovation planning is definitely up there with planning a wedding or starting a family. It doesn't come without its stresses, but you'll never regret it and you'll build memories and a home for a lifetime. And I know because my partner Neil and I did it. We bought a disgusting, dated 1930s house renovation and set about making it our dream country-inspired home. So we know all about the dust, sweat and tears involved in home renovations. When you start planning layout ideas and researching the costs to renovate a property, there are so many questions you need answering to determine whether you're able to afford your bigger ideas or whether you need to scale back and keep things a little more modest. And a common question is, how much does an architect cost? And do I need to hire one for the work that I'm planning to do to my property? It's a question that really deserves a lot of consideration because hiring an architect is a significant investment making up between 5 and 10% of your overall build cost. So you really want to make sure that it's essential, you do need one, and that you're investing in the right firm or person. And in this video, I want to share answers to your renovation questions, including what is the average cost of an architect in the UK? Do you need an architect at all? And I have a simple system to help you find out. When do you need to start considering an architect? And what you'll be paying for in architect's fees. Plus, I've got some cheap ways to bring your costs down if you do need to hire an architect. So first of all, how much does an architect cost in the UK? Well, the average cost to hire an architect can vary largely depending on the experience of the architect itself and the complexity of your project. But generally, you can expect to pay between 5 and 10% of your overall build costs, as I mentioned before. An architect who has many years' experience within the sector is going to charge a little bit more than an architect who has just completed their final year studying, so they'll be nearer that 10% figure. And a more straightforward project, such as a rear extension, is going to cost less than a complete remodel of a full property. So say if you're planning to spend £100,000 on your property renovation, then factor in between £5,000 and £10,000 for building regs, planning drawings by your architect, construction drawings and planning permission if they take on and look after your application for you. Next up, do you need an architect for the work you want to do to the property in the first place? If you plan on doing any structural changes to your property, such as changing the exterior, front or back, adding a loft conversion, adding a kitchen extension or any kind of single or double story extension, or if you're removing load-bearing walls, you will need to seek the right experience to produce construction drawings for this work. An architect can help you achieve all of these, however in some cases with smaller or more modest builds, you may be able to make a saving by seeking the help of other specialists. If you're watching this video on our website, then keep scrolling down to access this flowchart that we've drawn up to help you easily identify whether you need an architect and whether there are more affordable avenues to explore. We've actually included a link to the post in the description box if you're watching this on YouTube. So yeah, architects are trained to do all drawings and technical specifications. So if you do want to hire one person to take it all on, hire an architect once you know roughly what sort of layout that you'd like, and they'll take on all that hard work for you. If you have a listed property, I generally advise that you hire an architect no matter how big or small your renovation will be, usually because local architects have experience working with listed buildings in your area, so they should have a really keen eye for what is getting approved or denied at planning permission phase, which will save you a lot of time and heartache. Other professionals you can bring on board will depend on the complexity of your plans. So for example, you'll need a structural engineer if you're planning any structural changes such as removing walls, sections of chimney breasts, full chimney breasts, or if you're planning on moving or enlarging windows and doorways. Your architect technologist or designer will likely have contacts that they regularly work with, so definitely lean on those for recommendations. And then an architectural technologist is a more affordable route to hiring an architect if you know exactly what the layout is that you want. Architectural technologists are a fraction of the cost of architects and are commonly used for domestic extensions, loft conversions and sometimes minor renovation work such as removing a wall. Then finally, an interior designer could be called in instead of an architect or a technologist if you want drawings for interior layouts, and they'll propose the best use of internal space, whereas architects and technicians don't always consider your interior layout. Interior designers can also provide much more considered lighting, electrical, plumbing specifications to ensure the best finish, but they can't be used to prepare construction drawings. That said, interior designers often have networks to draw upon to deliver any technical drawings required, so local architects, technicians and engineers. If you aren't doing any structural work at all though, and you're focusing only on redecoration, you won't need the services of an architect or a technologist. Remember, there's every chance that you will need at least building regulations approval and planning permission if the project isn't a permitted development. So make sure that you do your due diligence prior to any renovation work getting started, and make sure you're conducting your project safely and legally. The planning portal is a fantastic resource for new renovators in the UK, and it helps to level up their knowledge on building regs and legal requirements, so head over there. So let's say that you've decided that you need an architect. What does their fee actually cover? What are you paying for? An architect's fee will usually cover a measured survey of the property. They'll develop a 2D and 3D design scheme, including offering material advice, electrical, heating and plumbing plans. They'll provide revisions on that scheme that they've drawn up if you want to make changes. They might prepare and submit some of your drawings for building approval or planning permission. They'll monitor your planning application unless you want to take this on yourself. They might also produce and manage tender drawings, and some even liaise and advise you on contractors to appoint. They can also build project management into their quote, but this really varies on the interests and location of the architect or firm. And do note that some architects only focus on the external walls, the roof, the material makeup of the building, and won't give too much thought to the interior layout. So it's important that you ask this question up front before commencing the project with the architect that you hire. When I work with clients, for example, it's really common practice for them to pass their architect drawings on to me to advise on, and I plan the interior layout for them, because usually the architect hasn't provided this as a service to their client. And the next question to ask yourself is, at what point in your renovation do you appoint an architect? What's really unknown to many first-time renovators is that there's some essential work you need to do up front before hiring an architect, which will make your life and theirs a lot easier, and actually could end up saving you a lot of money. I've written a blog post all about this, which I'll link in the description, but my advice is don't make the mistake of bringing an architect in too soon. Neil and I learned this the hard way back in 2016, before we even knew what renovations were. We mistakenly spent a lot of money in architect fees. We moved into a 1930s house to renovate, and initially we thought we wanted to knock 2 load-bearing walls down and build an extension, adding a new pitched roof for insulation to create a large kitchen dining area. So we did what anyone would normally do and hired an architect to draw the designs for us, explained to the architect that our budget overall was £60,000 to £80,000 for the whole house, and the cost for his fees were £3,000 to £4,000. He designed the whole house for us with a loft conversion plan should we ever need drawings for converting it later on. And then quotes started coming back from contractors, and they estimated it at about £80,000 for just the extension alone. We were adamant that we wanted to get the whole house finished within our budget of £80,000 and not blow it all on the extension alone. So we decided to ditch the dream 80k extension idea and chose to do a more modest build using the walls and space available within the existing structure. And the lesson that we just didn't understand going into renovating for the first time is that we didn't know what we wanted early on, and we hired an architect to decide for us, which is such a big mistake. We paid to hire an architect to design this grand scheme and then didn't use any of his plans. And had we have done all of the right planning and investigation work about how we like to live and what our actual needs are for the property, we never would have needed to hire an architect, and we'd have explored the architectural technologist route to draw the ground floor for us, bringing in a structural engineer to measure the RSJ when we're knocking down walls. Our renovation online course goes into more detail about how to prepare well before hiring an architect, and it saved renovators from making similar mistakes. There's a lot to digest in this video, so start with the flowchart that I've produced to help you understand your options. And if you're ready to move on to the next step in your renovation planning, then consider joining my free renovation email series, which is also linked down below. I share various ways to cut costs on your project and how to dodge the expensive mistakes that make renovating so stressful. Thank you so much for watching this video, and please give it a like and head over to my channel to subscribe if it's your first time renovating a property. My aim over there is to provide as much video support to you as I can and reduce the stress and overwhelm to give you a little more peace of mind on your renovation decisions. So I hope to see you in the next video.